Arsenal fans, they're waiting. They're waiting because it seems like this is their season. Four games, Shegun, straight wins, and it's looking again like 2004, 2005.
You know, there's a joke circulating that Arsenal is like an elephant sitting on a tree. Last, he'll hit the ground. But I tell you what, they've done well. They've done well. In this game, I must admit, Fulham was excellent. Fulham has not beaten Arsenal 30 games at the Emirates. And this time around, they didn't want to lose. They put everything, front foot forward, actually went ahead after a horrific howler from Gabriel. But they showed determination, they showed true grit, and they showed concentration. I don't know, I like what I'm seeing from this Arsenal. I don't know what Gabriel was thinking, but the commentator said that the only way Gabriel can make up for this is to score maybe a last-minute winner, and that's what he did. So, Arsenal fans should be very optimistic, and, it just shows that the Premier League has entered into another level this season, and there's so many teams that at the end can either finish in the top four or win silverware. Very high level of competition.
I think that's Odegaard equalizer. I think you give credit to this young Arsenal side. They are now running. The Saka, the Odegaard, the Mentelemeli, the Jesus. When Nketiah came in, a lot of running off from this team, and the fans too. At one go down, you can see the fans were pushing this young team to get the equalizer. The fans will play big role in Emirates to push this young team to get, to get to the Holy Grail, maybe end the season in the top four. But Gabriel have to... I think he had to compensate for the error he made earlier. I'm happy for him. They could have dropped points against Fulham. Fulham were tactically prepared against this Arsenal side. They were confident in their play. Even though Arsenal had more possession of the ball, Mitrovic was every time dangerous when he had the ball in the offensive half.
That's the magic man, supposedly, for this Arsenal side. He's got them functioning like a well-oiled machine. 53 games, won, drawn 18, lost 31 in 100. And his win rate at 53% is what managers dream of.
It's true, but it can't carry the weight. It's a difficult league. It's a marathon. Great start for this Arsenal side. It's when they lose, it's how they react that matters after. We'll wait and see.
Having said that, Victor Shegun, because, I know everyone's really glorious about Arsenal, the first 11 and what they do. But I think the strength of this team is sitting on the bench. Because the quality on the bench is just as good.
Nketiah came in and you can see hunger in his play. He wants to score, he wants to show something, which is great. I said, but do they have enough depth compared to like Liverpool City? I'm not so sure.
I think they do.
But
I'm not so sure.
The point I want to make is not even about what they do on the pitch. I think people that deserve a lot of credit for the way Arsenal has performed this season and the way their direction they're heading is the board. And a certain young man called Edu. The combination of Edu and Arteta and the board supporting Arteta in his decisions off the pitch, getting rid of Aubameyang, getting rid of older and disruptive players and all that. He has the players that he wants and he's molded them in a definition of his own image, which is
time will tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
People think, and then bam, they might slip up. But I think that they're strong enough to know that they've got to go that game. And even if they don't play well, you've got to get something. That's what I want to see from the Arsenal team now. Just like if they get past that and they get to United, is that you don't lose those games when you're not playing well. That's what you want to see next from Arsenal.
And also think about last season when they were in such a good position, on such a good run, heading into the final few weeks of the season, really good chance of getting in top four. They had it in their hands, and then what was it? Defeat to Southampton, defeat to Brighton,
Newcastle,
and it all unravelled very quickly. So they've been in good runs before with not the group that they have right now with the summer additions, but they've been in that place with Arteta. So they can't let that happen again when they're at the top and everything's going good. Is just lose the games where it should be comfortable for them.
It's going to be one of those games, especially against Villa, because Villa are playing for, in fact, Stevie's under pressure. They're playing for their own positions. And like you said, they don't want to get sucked into that relegation battle, because I've been down there. It's a tough place to be. Regardless of how well you're playing, sometimes you still lose those points, as we saw Everton at stages of last year do. So I think that is a massive game for Arsenal. In some ways, I think it might be bigger than a game against Man United, because the players will be all up for that game. It's the lower teams and the teams in the weaker positions that some players tend to dip on, and hopefully they haven't got that in them.
Yeah. When you say Steven Gerrard's under pressure, do you think it's under pressure for his job, or do you think under pressure to turn things around and to start to get some results?
I think it's under pressure to turn things around and get some results. I think it would be a bit early now to put him in that position where he could possibly be sacked, but I've seen some of the games, and some of them they've played all right, and even like that goal there, it's a great effort, and if you don't shoot, you most probably don't score, but it takes that slight deflection, and when you're down in those positions, all those things happen to you. All the goals that most probably wouldn't have gone in, all go in for some weird reason, and that just adds to the pressure. And if you look at his stats, he's possibly worse than Gary Neville at the minute, percentage-wise, in stats when he had a job. And it's something that he...
The Valencia job,
yeah, I know. I know. So it's something he does need to turn around, because everybody's going to be looking at all these numbers, all these stats, and he has a good team there. It's just a matter of them getting together, and the players that he's actually brought in to do what they've been brought in for. He's got good striker in Ollie Watkins. You know, Ings is always going to score goals. You've got Coutinho in behind. He's got so much talent there to play with, to create chances. And at the minute, it just hasn't happened for them.
I feel it feels more like there's a lot of pressure from the fans. I don't know who they'd want the ball to get. God forbid if they did move Stevie on, but I feel like Sean, when you listen to the list of players, yes, they've got enough in their squad to be able to put a run together. But then when you start badly, like especially against Bournemouth, and we've seen what's happened to Bournemouth since the first game of the season when they beat Villa, and they've beaten Villa, so that they've started on a negative, and now they're not getting the luck, they're not getting the run of games. It's kind of moved around with the Mings thing, and then bringing it back, and that there's a lot going on that has to be sorted out. But I think that the pressure will probably be coming more from the fans and the people upstairs, because you don't want to take someone like Stevie Gerrard, a young manager, and then the first time it gets really rocky, then you bow to the fans. You've got to give him the time to try and get himself in a position where he can get that team playing how he wants them to.
But what they are now in is the situation that they really didn't want to be, which is when Steven Gerrard made the decision about Tyrone Mings to take the captaincy away from him, to drop him from the team, to come out and say this is what he needs to do in training if he wants to get back into the side. At the time, everybody said, this now needs to go well for Aston Villa. Yeah. And it hasn't done. And it's very easy to point to those pre-season decisions and say, well, that's had a knock-on effect, particularly with him having had a headache at the weekend.
Yeah, and then he made those decisions based on transfers, and then some of the players he's brought in have got injured. So then you've got to look back to that player and say, oh, you remember what I said? No, now's your chance. I think at the weekend, it was the 5th different centre-back partnership that Villa have played, including, a cup game in that as well. So there's just no rhythm there, because he keeps changing the team, he keeps changing the formations, he keeps asking them to play different ways and styles of playing football. So I think everyone's a little bit confused at the moment, and I think it's also trying to fit all that talent in one place. You've got Danny Ings, who's making loads of runs and is trying to be a bit of a target man, but then he's having to drop back and play because there's no one playing that playmaker role, because him and Watkins are trying to do the same thing and get in each other's way and get in each other's space. So I think there needs to be a real kind of moment where they sit down and understand and establish what everyone is doing on that team. I don't think they're going to get in a position where they're going to be fighting for survival, but with him coming in, I think there were certain ambitions and expectations, and it's that I think is disappointing for the fans, rather than necessarily how deep they're going to get into a relegation battle.
Yeah, and facing a buoyant Arsenal in midweek, so it doesn't get any easier for Aston Villa.